WNBA was never ready for this level of spotlight and attention.
Social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you turn where race has been introduced into the conversation?
Did you know that while Caitlin Clark was breaking every WNBA viewership record in existence, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert was busy downplaying her impact and creating one PR disaster after another?
So I look forward to watching her ongoing development in the league. I think ultimately this is very healthy for women's basketball in the WNBA. It's generating tremendous additional.
Meanwhile, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver was openly praising Clark's contributions to women's basketball, basically doing Engelbert's job better than she was. When the NBA Commissioner shows more appreciation for your league's biggest star than you do, maybe it's time to ask some tough questions. Why is Adam Silver consistently defending Caitlin Clark, while Cathy Engelbert seems determined to diminish her achievements? How did we get to a point where the WNBA's own commissioner appears threatened by the very player who's single-handedly transforming her league? I think there's a pattern here that nobody's talking about, and it's about to blow up in ways that could completely reshape women's professional basketball.
One thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like, the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you.
Let's start with the most telling moment that exposed everything. During that infamous CNBC interview, when asked about the racism, misogyny, and harassment that WNBA players were facing on social media, Engelbert's response was absolutely shocking.
It was a little of that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979, when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment.
Instead of condemning the harassment or protecting her players, she basically compared the situation to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird's rivalry and suggested that toxic fan behavior was good for business because rivalries drive viewership.
We need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
I think that tells you everything you need to know about how disconnected she is from reality. Here's a commissioner being asked directly about racist and misogynistic attacks on her players, and her takeaway is essentially that controversy sells tickets. The WNBA Players Association had to step in and do her job for her, making it crystal clear that harassment isn't a marketing strategy. Back in September 2024, Engelbert finally admitted that she missed the mark on her comments regarding Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But here's what really happened behind that corporate apology. She had treated serious harassment issues like they were just part of some brilliant business model. I mean, seriously? Your players are dealing with racist abuse online, and your response is to celebrate the attention it brings?
Where else? When I saw Cathy's interview and I saw the players' response to it and I just saw this story unfolding, my honest to God first thought was the WNBA was not ready for this kind of spot.
The aftermath of that CNBC disaster was brutal for Engelbert. Multiple WNBA players took to social media to call her out directly. The WNBA Players Association had to issue an official statement basically doing her job for her, making it clear that there's no place for harassment and that toxic fandom demands immediate action, not celebration. When your own players' union has to publicly correct your messaging on player safety and basic human dignity, that's not just a PR disaster, that's a leadership crisis. They essentially had to spell out for her that protecting players from abuse isn't about rivalries or business models. It's about basic decency. Meanwhile, Adam Silver was taking a completely different approach. Silver offered high praise of Indiana Fever superstar Caitlin Clark and consistently credited her for the WNBA's overnight sensation status. The contrast couldn't be more obvious. One commissioner recognizing transformational talent while protecting player dignity, the other treating harassment as a marketing opportunity. But the real smoking gun came during the Olympic selection controversy. When Caitlin Clark was snubbed from Team USA's roster for the 2024 Paris Olympics, guess who stepped up to defend her? Not Cathy Engelbert, her own commissioner. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said it would have been nice to see Caitlin Clark on the 2024 USA Olympic roster. I think that says everything you need to know about who actually understands star power and marketing in professional basketball. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Silver called the flagrant foul made made by Chicago Sky guard Chennedy Carter on Clark a welcome to the league moment, adding that it's nothing new in basketball. He normalized the physicality while acknowledging Clark's rookie experience. Engelbert, she was nowhere to be found during one of the most controversial moments of the season.
I think last year was a transformative year for that. We brought in tens of millions of new viewers. We had 64 million unique viewers just in the United States of our games last year. So that was a huge step. That was double the price.
The financial implications are staggering too. The WNBA's current media rights deal brings in about $60 million a year, and Engelbert aims to at least double that number in the league's next deal. But here's the kicker. Silver believes the NBA and WNBA are better off selling their media rights together rather than separately. Translation? He sees more value in the WNBA than its own commissioner seems to recognize, and he's willing to leverage his massive influence to make it happen.
She said something that just kind of missed the mark. With the Caitlin Clark situation, I don't feel like the WNBA, I've called it out multiple times, has handled this correctly.
I think Engelbert's biggest mistake has been treating Caitlin Clark like a problem to be managed rather than an asset to be maximized. Engelbert has faced criticism for not always giving Clark the credit she deserves, and the WNBA has come under fire for not promoting the 23-year-old Fever Guard as much as her fans believe they should. This isn't just bad optics, it's terrible business strategy.
Entire year. So we're well on our way to bringing that NCAA fan in, and actually even broader than that when you think about the unique viewers we had last.
Let's talk numbers for a second, because this is where Engelbert's approach becomes completely indefensible. Game 2 of the first round of playoffs between the Fever and Sun drew a record 2.5 million viewers on ESPN, peaking at 3.4 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA game on cable. When your rookie is pulling NBA-level viewership numbers and you're still playing the balance game with promotion, you're not doing your job.
Also signed a historic media deal since I was here last.
That's right.
Long-term media deal, which was important for the stability of the league. And as people have been calling it a growth stock, we have a lot of upside.
The leadership styles couldn't be more different either. Engelbert came from Deloitte, where she was the first woman ever to lead a Big Four professional services firm in the U.S. That corporate consulting background shows in every awkward press conference and tone-deaf statement. She approaches basketball like it's a quarterly earnings report instead of entertainment that needs stars, storylines, and excitement. Silver, on the other hand, understands that professional sports is ultimately about creating compelling narratives around exceptional talent. He's not afraid to let superstars be superstars because he knows that's what drives everything else: viewership, merchandise, sponsorships, and ultimately player salaries.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything.
Speaking of salaries, this is where Engelbert's failures become most obvious. Debate about Clark's salary has dominated social media, with Engelbert calling the criticism a false narrative. The New York Times, 2024. But here's the thing. When your biggest star is making less than some bench players in overseas leagues, maybe the narrative isn't false. Maybe your salary structure is just broken.
Somebody like the commissioner, like, you have to be ready when you sit down for any of these interviews. You can't say the wrong.
The WNBA has faced heavy criticism over player pay, and a new collective bargaining agreement has been in the works. Engelbert has had 5 years to address this fundamental issue. Yet players are still leaving for overseas opportunities that pay 10 times more. That's not a narrative problem. That's a leadership problem.
I'll leave the specific question about the foul to my colleague, Commissioner Eng.
The criticism from within the WNBA community has been brutal too. WNBA legend Candace Parker criticized Engelbert, claiming that the league fails to put its players as a priority. When your own legends are calling you out publicly, that's not just criticism, that's a vote of no confidence. But here's what I think is really happening behind the scenes. The NBA and WNBA relationship is closer than most people realize, and Adam Silver has significant influence over WNBA operations. As the WNBA's banner season wraps up, Engelbert faces more pressure than ever. That pressure isn't just from fans or media, it's from the NBA leadership who see the potential being wasted.
Then, as a fan, obviously, it's nothing new in basketball that there's sort of welcome to the league moments. especially for heralded rookies. But of course,
I think Silver recognizes that the WNBA is at a critical inflection point. You have generational talent in Caitlin Clark, record viewership numbers, and unprecedented mainstream attention. This is a once-in-a-decade opportunity to establish women's professional basketball as must-watch entertainment. But instead of capitalizing on this momentum, Engelbert seems determined to treat it like business as usual. The social media evidence is telling too. WNBA fans have noticed that Clark leads Silver's Instagram montages, with fans commenting NBA commish likes her more than the W's, WNBA. When fans are noticing that the NBA commissioner promotes your star player better than you do, that's not just embarrassing, it's career-threatening. Here's what I think is going to happen. The WNBA's media rights negotiations are coming up after the 2025 season, and this is where everything comes to a head. Silver wants to package NBA and WNBA rights together to maximize value for both leagues. But he needs a WNBA commissioner who understands how to build stars, create storylines, and maximize the entertainment value of elite talent.
It's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players.
Engelbert's approach of trying to balance promotion across all players might sound diplomatic, but it's strategically tone-deaf. You don't build a league by trying to make everyone equally famous. You build it around transcendent talents who bring new fans to the sport. Michael Jordan didn't hurt other NBA players by being the face of basketball. He lifted the entire league.
This has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you...
The writing is on the wall when you look at Engelbert's track record with controversy management. The CNBC interview disaster alone should have been career-ending. When asked about serious harassment issues facing players, she responded by celebrating the attention and comparing it to the Magic Bird rivalry. Every major WNBA story this season, the Olympic snub, the flagrant fouls, the salary debates, the playoff scheduling conflicts, and especially the player harassment crisis, has been handled poorly or tone-deafly by league leadership. Meanwhile, Silver has consistently provided thoughtful, measured responses that show he actually understands the stakes and respects player dignity. I think the final straw will be the financial results from this season. When the numbers come in showing exactly how much value Caitlin Clark brought to the WNBA and how much money was left on the table due to poor marketing and promotion decisions, that's when the serious conversations about leadership change will happen. The WNBA needs someone who understands that you build leagues around stars, not despite them. Someone who sees Caitlin Clark as the foundation for the next chapter of women's professional basketball, not a complication to be managed. Someone who can work with Adam Silver to maximize the synergies between NBA and WNBA, rather than treating them as completely separate entities. Engelbert's corporate consulting background might have been valuable for operational improvements, but this moment requires someone who understands sports entertainment, star building, and cultural momentum. The WNBA has its Michael Jordan moment happening right now, and they need leadership that knows how to capitalize on it. The irony is that Caitlin Clark has already done the hardest part. She's brought mainstream attention, broken viewership records, and created genuine excitement around women's professional basketball. All the WNBA leadership had to do was not screw it up. But between tone-deaf statements, promotion failures, and a complete inability to read the cultural moment, Engelbert has managed to turn slam dunks into stumbles. I think Adam Silver sees all of this, and he knows that the window for maximizing this opportunity is limited. Sports history is littered with leagues that failed to capitalize on their breakthrough moments because of poor leadership decisions. The WNBA can't afford to be another cautionary tale, not when they finally have everything they need to succeed. The question isn't whether change is coming, it's whether it happens fast enough to salvage this golden opportunity. Because make no mistake, what's happening with Caitlin Clark and the WNBA right now is a once-in-a-generation moment, and you don't get many second chances in professional sports. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think about this entire situation. Are you Team Silver or Team Engelbert?